What is going on, everyone? Happy Monday. Welcome to another live stream. Pumped to share some ideas with you guys in today's live. What's going on, Chase? Hello, everyone on Instagram. Sorry, we're a little bit late today. I was getting set up here. So what I want to do now, unfortunately, for anyone that was on the last live stream, I told you guys I was going to have one of our developers at Toll Media on, and we were going to share some ideas. But we're going to get more like technical and like, okay, how do we go build this? How do we build the MVP? And pretty much like share a discussion that we have all the time and just like walk through one of our ideas that we haven't walked through yet. So unfortunately, one of our developers that we were going to have on wasn't able to join. So you just got me today, but we're going to have a lot of fun. So, what's going on, Con? Let me take a sip here. So I have a list. I don't know if you guys have this, but I have a list of all my ideas. So whenever I come up with a stupid idea, I put it in this list. And I have this list in front of me. Let's take a look at this list. This is funny because this list dates back a very long time ago. And let me see, I have it on this screen up here that you guys can't see. So it's really funny looking at some of the ideas that I wrote down from years ago, like 5 years ago, maybe. One of these, there's a funny backstory to it. And it's like, if you guys use GroupMe, it's like GroupMe for apartments. So think about, if you don't use GroupMe, it's like a chat app. So if you live in an apartment or any type of like duplex or community, you really don't know your neighbors, and it'd be really cool to know who else lives in the same facility as you, because maybe you could like hang out, do all that stuff, whatever. And maybe like you could like share resources or something like that. Maybe there's a larger business model to this. Now, Nextdoor does this not like based off apartment, but based on like location. They're I want to say like $1 billion+ company. I'm not sure, but. So funny backstory though to this apartment chat app idea. And the reason I came up with it was because in college, I lived in this like 9-story building, 13-story building. And we had parties every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But like the people who were invited to these parties didn't live in our apartment complex, except for the people that lived on the same floor. And like a couple people that we knew throughout the building, but like we didn't know all the other people. So like, well, it'd be cool to invite these people too. So that was the point of the idea, is just like, meet the people that live in your community, whatever. So when I was working on Mapify and ParkingBee, with my co-founders, we applied to Y Combinator, and my co-founders were all technical. Like they're all developers, super smart, nerdy guys. And, they got really pissed at me because on the YC application, we had to put like a different idea that we were going to apply with. And that idea, that I put down was this, like GroupMe for apartments, and they were really pissed that I did that because we turned it in last second and we had to put something on. So I just put it on there and none of them liked the idea, whatever. So to get me back, the guys, I don't know how they did this, but they somehow like spoofed an email and made it the email from Y Combinator. So it was like one of the partners of YCom, and they sent me an email and they're like, the subject line was congrats. And by the way, it was literally like the person's name at ycombinator.com. I don't know how they did it, but they were like, congratulations. We'd like to accept you for an interview for this year's batch, which if you guys don't know Y Combinator, it's like it's the hardest accelerator to get into. And they're like, congrats, we'd like to accept you into this year's batch. But it's not for Mapify. We'd like to interview you for GroupMe for apartments. So I thought that like we legitimately got in. It was for this like GroupMe for apartments thing for like 10 seconds. And then like the guys were like laughing so hard that like I was like, wait, something's up here. So that was a fun time. But okay, so let's pick one of these ideas. Just to read off some of my ideas to you guys. One of them is, let's see. Oh, a scooter rental company. I don't know if we're not gonna break that one down, but that's an idea that I've had. Is like you have like Bird and Lime and Lyft and Uber, like all crushing it with these scooters. Well, it'd be really cool to have like a scooter that you can rent by the month. This is something that I like considered doing, but then I was like, it doesn't really make sense. But if you could charge like $50 a month for renting out a scooter, um, that people rent monthly instead of buying their own scooter, how much money could you make? And I like looked into that. The problem with that is like, if you do rent it out for 12 months and you make like $600 and the scooter probably costs like 300. So like it'd probably be like a decent business, but then like there's a bunch of wear and tear on the scooter. So like how great would it be? How much does it cost to acquire customers? Wasn't super sure about that. I'm not going to break down all the model on that on this call. I think I'm going to pick a different one. Another business that I thought would be really fun. Schmmedium. So you heard it first, Schmmedium. If anyone takes this idea, you came right here. So Schmmedium is something that I struggle with. It solves a problem that I struggle with, which there's all different types of shirt sizes. There's small, there's medium, there's large, there's extra large, whatever. But my problem is I'm like between like a medium and a large. Like mediums are a lot of times they're too small, but larges are too big. So it'd be cool to have a business called Schmmedium for people that are between like smalls and mediums. And then you'd also have something called like a marge, something that's between a medium and a large. I thought that'd be a pretty fun business. So it's pretty much like clothing that's like those in between sizes for shirts. I don't know how well that would do or not, but again, I think that'd be like a fun brand. The other thing I could think could do really well is AppSumo for like agencies and freelancers. So like AppSumo is like this cool place where like you get discounts, like pretty heavy discounts on software. So like if you're going to launch a software product, you should go to AppSumo because you can launch on AppSumo, and instead of like spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on acquiring new customers, if you launch on AppSumo, they take 50%, which is a fucking lot of the revenue you make. But then you don't have to pay for like Facebook ads and stuff. And you do these like lifetime deals. So like a lot of these companies that launch on there, they'll get 1,000 people to sign up. They'll pay like $100 lifetime offer, and they'll make 100K. Really, they'll make 50K because AppSumo gets half of that. But it's a really great way to like get your first customers and get some money in to go like build more product. And again, the deals they do are like lifetime, like amazing deals. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Like, could you do that for agencies or for like freelancers, like someone that's just starting out with their agency or just wants to take on clients? Maybe they have people on the bench. Maybe they just want to build portfolio. What if you had like a Groupon for agencies? So like maybe you like vet these agencies and go, okay, are these, do we, you need a vetting process to like get them accepted in. And then you'd have to like, they'd have to be super transparent with their rates. You'd also have to know the market rate so you knew that it was a good deal. And then maybe like someone that does logos that typically charges like $300, it's like $25 for a logo. And you get like 1,000 people that end up like getting the logo, and they get like $25,000. They also get like they create like 1,000 logos from one of these deals. But obviously you'd like limit it if it's a service business. I don't know if it's like as good as software, because the thing with software is like it's very scalable. Like you can sign up like 10,000 people at once. If you're doing like service stuff, you can't really do that. So you'd have to figure out like, how would I actually structure this? Again, it'd be like a Groupon for agencies or services. That's one of my ideas. Let's see here. Another one for a while ago is like Topdil for recruiting. I think there's a lot of opportunity to change up the recruiting space. I think like recruiting is like super annoying. And I think that there's a really good, like someone could go build this right now. Like if you could like offer a service that offers like recruiting, but not like crazy rates. Like right now, like the typical recruiter charges like 20%. Like how could you do something where you don't charge 20%? Maybe it's like more for contractors. So, for startups that are like hiring really quick, or like they just need a contractor, is there like a happy medium of like you maybe charge like a smaller flat fee, or just like an hourly rate or a retainer rate instead of doing a percentage, or maybe like a lower percentage somehow. But could you do like some form of like recruiting for startups that's like for contractors specifically, when someone's just looking for like a quick video editor or something like that? And there's a lot of opportunity there. And honestly, my favorite like opportunity right now is like a Slack integration. I think that there's so much opportunity to create a really good Slack integration that's like a messenger bot for a service. The problem is a lot of service businesses aren't super forward thinking. So like a lot of people don't think of, well, I guess not the problem. It's the opportunity is like, if you can think of like a good bot to put into a Slack group is a service business, I think you can make a shit ton of money because no one does it. You start an agency, you're doing like services for people, you're doing design work, you're doing development work, you're doing accounting work, whatever it is. But like, I really think that there's an opportunity to match talent with the right people through Slack because it's convenience, right? Like, think about Amazon. Amazon solved convenience. People will pay for convenience. They've proved that. Like, Amazon's not the cheapest. If you go buy like toothpaste from Amazon, then, which actually reminds me, I gotta buy toothpaste. I I was running out of toothpaste. I'm like down to like a tiny bit left in the toothpaste carton, and I bought some toothpaste. Was at my parents' house the other day, and the dogs decided to eat it. Like, it's crazy. What dogs eat toothpaste? So they ate like the box and everything, and they somehow like got the toothpaste everywhere. So that was great. But where was I with that? What were we talking about? Why were we talking about toothpaste? Oh, toothpaste. If you go buy toothpaste at Walmart, it's significantly cheaper than Amazon, but you'll pay for convenience with Amazon, and that's been proven. So, like, will people pay for convenience, or is there a convenience layer you can develop into Slack, which we talked about in the last live stream, like a Slack group for not a Slack group, a Slack integration for putting an accountant directly into your Slack. Can you do that with other things like recruiters or lawyers or virtual assistants? I think virtual assistants could be a really cool thing. So I think someone needs to build that, and maybe you build more of the marketplace, right? Actually, this is breaking. I just came up with this on the spot. I actually never thought about this. So what if you created the marketplace? That's a really great idea. Okay, so I don't even think I should be sharing this with you guys. The marketplace that connects service businesses to people that have Slack. So the way this would look is like, let's say I've Slack groups for all my businesses. A lot of companies I work with, they have their own Slack groups. So like, let's just say company A has a Slack group, their entire company's in there. And then you're the marketplace, right? So like, let's say I create a marketplace called like, I don't know, Slack people, Slack businesses. I don't know what we would call it. It'd be whatever we call it. And the company installs the app, the Slack integration, and when they do that, they just put in there what types of people they want. This is a great fucking idea. So then on that end, we like develop that. That's super easy. So then on the other end, we get all the talent. So like they have a bunch of choices to pick from. Kind of like instead of going to Upwork, you just go right in Slack. This is the best fucking idea I think I've come up with. Holy shit. I don't know why I'm sharing this with you guys. This should be, I should have kept this a secret. Wait, I need to think more about this. And then you take a commission. Wow. I actually love this idea. So like instead of going to Upwork and posting your job and doing all that annoying shit, you have this right in Slack. You say what you need. Like you pretty much, when you message this thing, it will go to like a platform, and there's like an account manager or like a project manager or something that sees it, or like you have choices. So like it's a bot. So it's like recruiting this. You click it, it goes to this thing. And then we have like a bunch of people that like would match them up with, and they'd have like a list of people that they could interview for contractor roles. I think that's a great idea. Okay, let's like take this a step further. If you're Upwork, right, and you made this Slack integration, I wouldn't have to go to Upwork anymore, but it'd be like vetted people. So it'd be like kind of Upwork that's vetted, that's right in Slack. I don't know. It's interesting. So that's my big idea for today. Well, that I came up with on the spot. Now here's the thing, guys. When I come up with an idea like that, which I literally just came up with that layer, it's like marketplace instead of service. the next thing I would do is like actually think through it. Okay, how much, like what would it cost to acquire a user? How we acquire talent? How we do all this stuff? What's up, Brup Brup? What's going on? How do we do all this stuff? And then I like think through the financial model, which we're going to do on this call. I don't think we're going to do it for that one though, because we already did something that's like Slack related. I want to pick something else. So I'm going to move on from that one. The other idea I had that we'll probably talk a little bit more about on like the next live stream, maybe if I can get Sam on here, is something that Sam and I actually went back and forth on. So we're doing a lot of content stuff, right? We're working with clients, doing all that shit. And there's a massive problem. Right now we're using Trello. So like we create all the content we put on Trello. It looks really great. If you've watched my videos, you might have seen what that looks like in one, I think in like the last video or the one before. And we go back and forth on that. But the problem is with like video, you can't like comment on videos and do all that stuff. And there's people trying to solve this. They're doing a really poor job. There's really like two companies. One company seems to be doing pretty good. The other one's kind of like pretty shitty. And I used it because I wanted to solve the problem and it didn't solve my problem. So if you guys have heard of frame.io or Vimeo, that's how we currently like comment on videos, but there's no workflow in place. So I want to be able to use something like that. If like frame.io/Vimeo met Trello and they had a baby, that's what I kind of want to build. So if we're working with a client, we put all of their content on like, think about it like a Trello board. Both video and graphic content. And then they can click on those things and comment and approve things or disapprove things. And it goes through a process of approval. If you think about bigger companies, they have like a bunch of people that might need to approve something, or just like a couple if it's smaller, or just one if it's smaller. But they still need to approve it and they want to comment on it. So how do we create that where they can actually not just click on like a Trello card and then comment below, which is what we do now, but how do they actually click on that? It opens up and they can click on certain parts of the video, and at like 28 seconds they change this background, or at 3 minutes and 38 seconds say make this the audio lower on this, or the lighting better, whatever. So then it's just like one hub where you can manage all your client stuff, and you can do it all for like internal purposes, etc. So that's the idea. And we thought a lot about it, or I thought a lot about it. I was like, wait a sec, this is actually like really viable. I would love to build this because it solves a major pain point for me. And I would assume it would solve a major pain point for others. So let's walk through validating this, okay? So again, we're combining Trello and Vimeo, or Trello and frame.io, into this one thing. So the first thing that I would do, if I'm going to go build this, you have to validate that other people want it. I wouldn't just start building it. So I'd spend a little bit of time just doing a little bit of financial modeling, really light stuff, very, 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 very light stuff. Nothing crazy, very light stuff. Then after I did some financial modeling and the numbers looked good, I would not build anything. I would start validating if people actually want this. So I'd reach out to a bunch of people. So like, okay, if I was going to, and this is the problem people make. People like will go and they'll just build shit and they won't do any validation. So instead I would go, okay, who wants this? So let's just think about this. We're going to walk through it. So who'd be my target customer for this? It'd probably be marketing agencies and like internal like marketing directors for like big companies. I'd want to go corporate, like enterprise. So I would think about like a Fortune 500 company, Fortune 5000 company, even like a mid-sized company. I want to talk to like whoever's in charge of their marketing and like all their content. So I'd make a list of like those titles. So like maybe director of marketing, CMO, VP of marketing, director of like content, stuff like that. So I'd make a list. And then I'd cold email a bunch of them and just be like, hey, like I'd love to like ask you some questions. I'd figure out like an incentive for them to maybe like get on a call with me. And we have to figure out how to get them on a call, but most people are nice looking on a call. So we'll send a bunch of emails, send like a couple hundred, maybe like 100 or 200, and then I'll do my customer discovery. So like for this, let's think about it. So we're going to contact like directors of marketing, people that are like run marketing agencies, and now we need to ask them the right questions. So like, what are the right questions for something like this? What do we need to validate? So the biggest thing is like, is this an actual pain point for them? So I'd start off with like, like, what are you currently doing to manage like internal communication for your content? You always want to start with that. If you're building a product, start with like, what are you currently doing? Okay, that's super cool. You're using Trello and you're commenting on Trello. How do you like doing that? Oh, well, it's okay. It's like pretty frustrating, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Or like they love it. We love it. It's really great. That's fine if they answer that way. Then you have to figure out, okay, like, can I solve something that would be like good enough where I could get enough people to switch? There's always a switching cost of things, right? You have to create internal SOPs, all that stuff. So then I would like just ask a lot more questions, like what are the biggest pain points what you currently do? Like how much time do you spend? Like all this stuff, whatever it is I'm trying to add value to and whatever the product I'm building. And then after I ask them enough questions, like without describing the idea, I wouldn't want to describe the idea until like I've asked questions before they know, because once I describe the idea, then I might start getting biased answers. But then once we describe that, then I'll like start going into with this specifically. Okay, we're trying to like combine Frame.io and Trello so your team can like internally approve content, and you can invite clients, you can invite any internal contributors. Like, would you pay for something like that? And then they'll answer yes, no, whatever. And then you try to figure out like price point. Like, how much would you pay for something like that? Now that's like what I call level 3 data with customer discovery. If someone says like, yeah, I'd pay $50 a month, that doesn't mean they paid $50 a month until they actually pay $50 a month. So what's really cool about this is now like you build all these relationships with people that you can continue asking questions to as you build your product, and you let them know like, hey, look, I'm going to start building this. Like, do you want to be one of our first users? We won't charge you, and I just love your feedback, and like we'll build this. Like a lot of the features you probably want, we'll probably build for you. And then if you get enough people to say yes and commit to that, because that's a commitment. Like if someone reached out to me and they're like, hey, we'll build this, like, are you like, will you use it if we build it? I'd probably be like, no, because I want to be committed to something that's going to be like super buggy and, all that stuff. But if I liked it enough and it was like such a pain point, then probably a yes. So like you can start getting an idea of like how many people can we get onto this. And from there, then you can update your financial model a little bit on what you think they're willing to pay and what you think retention might be and all that stuff. So I talked to them. I'd also talk to companies that maybe do similar things to get other ideas like cost per acquisition for these types of people. How do they acquire customers? So like if I was building this, like let's think about this. This is like something that enterprise level software. Who else runs companies that do that are doing super well, that maybe raise a Series A or just like crushing it? I'd reach out to them and ask them, how are you doing customer discovery or customer acquisition? How much are you paying to acquire new customers? Like, what's the best way to acquire customers? I'd get that information. Then based off their numbers, they tell me like, oh yeah, it costs $25 to schedule a call. And then every single call we close like 20%. I'd steal those numbers, maybe like inflate them a little bit and then plug them into my financial model. So then we have this like pretty updated financial model, and we can tell like, okay, if we do this, like it's going to cost us this much to acquire customers, and here's how much we expect to make. Here's like our growth rate, our referral rate, all this fun stuff. So I actually think I did this for this idea. I think I did. I'm not sure. Let me see. I don't know if I did it for this idea. I thought I did. I'm looking on my computer because I'll just share it with you. I think what we determined was we could charge. What we determined when I was walking through this with Sam. So here's the fun part. We're like, how do we build this? So we have an internal team, obviously, like around a development agency. We have an office in Colombia. We have US engineers. So we're like, okay, let's just. And I wish Sam was on the call here because we could talk a little bit more about like how we'd actually build it. So I'm just gonna like repeat some of our combo. But we were like, okay, if we're gonna build this, like Sam would pretty much build it in a weekend, like the super MVP of this. Like no Trello process, none of that, just like commenting and a little bit of workflow. And we would kind of go from there. So like there's a couple ways to build it. The first would be like, do we build it on bubble.io, which is like no code? We could build real fast. Do we have Sam just build a really fast MVP? And then we build on top of it. What we kind of decided was we might use Bubble to do this, or we might just build it with code. And we'd probably use Ruby on Rails, which is like a really fast way to build stuff. I wouldn't choose to scale something with Ruby on Rails, but you can move really fast with it. So this is what people don't get about developing like software and SaaS products is you need to go into it like planning on totally scrapping everything. That's what companies do that you've seen that raise Series A, B, C, like that have IPO. They've rebuilt their code base over and over again. So for us, what we would do is we would probably build it maybe real quick with Rails or use something called Bubble.io. Again, be really cheap and quick. And then we'd start trying to get users. And we would just like play around with ourselves. We demo it to people. And then we consider like, okay, if we actually want to do this, do we like A, raise capital, or B, can we like sign up enough users to like pay for this? So what we probably do is like launch on Product Hunt, get a couple users in for the first iteration, keep building on it. And then once now if we do that and we actually acquire users, if we potentially get people to pay within like a month or so, then like the entire build out would probably cost us like $50,000 to $100,000. That's what we determined, like internally. It probably cost us like 50 to 100 grand to really build this. So we would want to validate a lot of things before taking on that risk. And I think it's a big problem that people don't consider is like when you build something, when you go and build something, like they don't consider, well, let's validate this data in terms of like, can we actually get people to use it before risking $50,000, $100,000, $200,000? Now, that's the other thing too, is like it would cost us $100K to build, but then there's maintenance. So like we'd have to maintain this thing. And that would have a monthly cost to it. So that's kind of what we were thinking about building. That's some of the ideas behind it in regards to like what the cost would be and stuff. And we would probably target, like I said, marketing agencies, marketing directors, a lot of cold emails. Hopefully get a bunch of yeses. We build for them. And then I'd say in like 2 to 3 months, we would have something that works pretty decently well, like a pretty decent MVP. We would have invested, maybe like 10 to 20K. And we'd be able to determine like, okay, does this solve enough of a problem? And also like, can we make like 25 to 30 bucks a user a month? I don't know. But assuming we could make like $100 per new customer monthly, like, because we would charge per user. So let's just assume they'd have like 4 users on average if we're going enterprise. Then our assumption is we need to sign up like 1,000 users to be at 100K MRR. How quickly could we do that? And if we could do that, then we could be like a 1.2 million revenue business. If we could be a 1.2 revenue business, how much would we be able to like spend on tech versus acquisition? And that's what you have to consider. It's like if you're building a SaaS product or any product, it's just like how much is the internal cost going to be, like development, and then how much is acquisition going to be? And you really have to consider acquisition. Not enough people consider the acquisition. So that's one of my favorite ideas right now in regards to development projects. I do have a couple more that I recently had. I think some of them I'm going to save for when Sam's on, so we can like really go through some of these. Let's see what other ideas. If you guys have any ideas you want to share or you guys want to walk through, and we can validate live, feel free to drop it in the comments. Looking at my trying to find my idea notes here. Some of them are all over the place. It's not on here. There's another one I really like. I guess it's not on here. I wanted to talk about this with Sam on the next one though. But there's one that I like a lot, which is like a group, like a kind of like a work together thing. So think about it like this. So if you want to get some stuff done, especially if you're an entrepreneur or you're working remote and you don't have like enough accountability, it's kind of like a way to give yourself a little bit of accountability. So what the way this would work is you like you just join the site and you select times that you want to get work done. Okay. So you join the site, you select times you want to get work done, and then you join whenever you want to work. And it's like based off of like Pomodoro. So the way Pomodoro works, if you guys aren't familiar with it, is you work for like 20 or 30 minutes and then you take like a 5 or 7 minute break. I have a Pomodoro app, Google Chrome plugin that I use on my computer. So like you'll work, say 25 minutes, 5 minute break, work 25 minutes, 5 minute break. So what this would do is you join other people that want to do that and you work at the same time. And during those 5 minute breaks, you get to talk to them. So there's a little bit of networking involved, which is pretty cool. I think it's a really good idea. This is something I don't want to talk too much about it because I really want to talk about it with Sam because like we're gonna build this. But I think that'd be really cool. So like any of you guys that are working on side projects right now and you want like that extra accountability and you just kind of want to meet some people, you could do this and just like work with other people and it'd be muted for like the 25 minutes that you're supposed to do work, but then that 5 minutes you just say, hey, like what are you working on? Oh, cool. That's super interesting. And you might make some new friends that are also like entrepreneurs and working on cool shit. That's probably my favorite. That's one of my favorite ideas right now. And that's something we're going to be building. Sam's going to do like a weekend project to like blow that out. What's super cool is like Sam is like he make MVPs really fast, and like some of the functionality for that we have experience doing. So like it'll be pretty quick to build like a V1. So I'm pretty excited about that. I might like drop it on social and everything once it's all created and whatnot. I'm kind of pissed I can't find my like ideas that I recently wrote down. I know that that's like a big one though. That was like one that I like really love and was like pretty serious about. Let's see what other ones we got. Man, I'm giving you guys the house today. But ideas are like totally worthless. That's the thing, guys. People are like typically pretty scared to share ideas, but like ideas are so worthless. Executing ideas, it requires a lot of time and energy and resources. Let's see. You know, one thing I think would be really cool that I have, this is actually from, I wish I like dated these. Do I have a date? No. This is from like a really long time ago, but like a lunch app, which is interesting because there's a company now called Lunch Club and they're like killing it. And Lunch Club, you like pretty much like set up a time and you like meet random people. And like the reason they call it Lunch Club is like I guess like it's the premise of like doing it at lunch, I guess. But I think it'd be really cool to like have like a lunch app. Again, this was something I probably came up with like 3 or 4 years ago, but like a lunch app where you just like select certain times to like have lunch with random people in your city that have the same interest in you as you, or like are in the same industry as you. So you'd like kind of pick. Could also be like a Tinder style where like maybe you like swipe to do it or something like that. But it had to be easy. A lot of these things you have to think about product, right? Like you like Bumble BFF or Bumble Networking or whatever it is. There's also something called Shaper. Those services you like swipe right on people for the purpose of networking. But this would be like more like you don't necessarily do that. You like pick certain times and then like you pick like the types of people you want to meet. I don't know. I think that'd be cool. You need to like sign up a lot of people. That'd be really hard to execute because like it would cost a good sum of money to get that version built. Actually, I wouldn't build it with software. Now that I think about it, I would just do an email list. So you just sign up for the list. You pick your times. It's like super manual and like actually doesn't have to be manual. You could just use Zapier and do some backend stuff. This is how you have to think, by the way, guys. Like if I was going to build this, I wouldn't build an app. And a lot of people would go try to build an app, and it's just that'd be really stupid. That would cost a lot of money. It would like waste a shit ton of time. If I was going to build this app, I wouldn't build an app. I would probably like do like something you like just sign up for, and then you pick your times, and it's again, I could probably build something like this for like I could probably do it all myself or like hire someone for like a couple $100. And I'd throw it on like a Wix site and just use like a Google Sheet. It'd be pretty simple. That's a pretty cool idea minus COVID. Totally wouldn't work right now. I'm sure people have like tried to do this though. I don't think this is like anything like innovative, honestly. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have tried to do it. Then like the next question is like, okay, it's super cool, but like, is there a business model behind that? Like, can you actually make revenue from that? Like Lunch Club, for example. I'm actually like really curious. Here's the thing: companies that raise a shit ton of money, like Lunch Club did, like they just burn money. They don't make anything for a very long time. And I bet you. Oh wow, there's another company called lunchclub.com. Oh, maybe lunchclub.ai got the .com. I'm curious if they've been. Yeah, they did. Okay. They kind of did a bit of a rebrand here. The place to build your network, smart introductions to interesting people. Now, what Lunch Club does is they just like send you an email. There's no tech behind it really. They call it .ai because they're doing AI. That's a buzzword. We use AI to match you with the right people. It's such bullshit. But let's see. Tell us your background, goals. Each week we'll see if you'd like to meet with a new connection. Our AI, they're amazing AI, will arrange for a 45-minute one-on-one conversation. Okay, that's what they do. But like they don't charge for this. It's totally free. And I think the way they're trying to make money is like by like buying credits to meet with certain people. I just like don't think that I don't know how viable of a business this is. Like, will people actually spend that? I know they got a ton of users during the pandemic. And by the way, if you want to look up companies, use Crunchbase. I'm just curious. I know that they're backed by Andreessen Horowitz, which is like one of the best VC firms. They raised $4.6 million. $4 million of that was from Andreessen Horowitz. Oh no, that's not true. Andreessen Horowitz was the lead investor on their $4 million round. That's pretty interesting. So if they've raised 4.6 million, I'm just gonna assume. You know, it's actually really weird. They raised 4 million, and then they did a seed round a year later for 150K. That's weird. From Alumni Ventures Group. I wonder if that was like, hey, like you guys are cool. We'll just let you get in on this, or if like they're having money issues. But usually you raise like a bunch more. So if they raise $4.6 million total, I'm just going to make an assumption and say they've given away like, I don't know, anywhere from 10 to 20% of the business with the amount they raised. So let's just say 20%. So 20%. So like if you times 4.6 by 5, that's the valuation they have. So it's like it's over 20 million. So this company probably has over a $20 million valuation. Are they worth $20 million? I don't know. Really not too sure. That's pretty interesting to me. All right, we'll do one more idea here. Again, if you guys have ideas that you want me to run through, drop them in the comments. I think my phone died, so we lost Instagram. Sorry, Instagram. If you guys have questions, drop them in the comments, or ideas we want to run through, drop them in the comments. Also, if you guys have questions, I'm still answering questions even though we're doing this stuff. So feel free to drop your questions. All right, last one. Let's see. All right, here's another one that I'm really big on. I'm like really big on this. I've wanted to do this for so long. I wanted to do this for the last like probably like 3 years. I've like thought about this like 3 years ago. So I think there's like a massive opportunity for people to change the way like food prep is done. So right now, I think like it's pretty crazy how costly food prep is. So like if you, especially if you work out, I think this is like really for the person that like eats 3,000 calories a day. So I would target meatheads, most likely. But right now, if you use any food prep company, it's like freaking like $10 or more a meal. Like think about like Snap Kitchen or any food prep company. It's like more than $10 a meal. And like and these meals have like 300 calories or 400 calories. Like it's so ridiculously small. So like if you truly want your meals fully prepped and you eat like 2,800, 3,000 calories, you're spending way too much money a day on food, like unsustainable amount of money if like you just make like an average salary. So I think there's like a big opportunity for someone to come in and make like a meal prepping company that like just cooks the food and doesn't like mix anything and that's it. So like think about like how you would get this off the ground. So okay, if I was going to do this, I would like I don't know how much you can get like chicken or meat and all that stuff like wholesale, but I want to say it's like half. So like if you can go to like Walmart and buy chicken for like $2 a pound, I'm sure you can get it for like $1 a pound if you're like buying this stuff wholesale. So the way it would look, it's like you'd have your protein, you'd have your carbs, and you'd have your fats, right? And the person just pretty much gives you their macros or the amount of calories they need, and they can pick how much of each thing they get. So it's cooked chicken, it's cooked whatever they're looking for, but it's not meals. It's just cooked food, and then they can make their own meals with it. So you kind of have all these ingredients, and you can have sauces too, so they can like make certain meals out of it. But like if I eat like 3,000 calories a day, and that means like every week I need 21,000 calories. I'll order like, I don't know, like probably like 12 pounds of chicken that's already cooked. I'll order like a bunch of like vegetables or like kale and stuff that's like washed. I'll order like maybe some like ground beef, get like 10 pounds of that. I'll order like cooked pasta and maybe like some other carbs and shit. Maybe like cooked eggs. So like you can bake eggs. That's personally what I like doing is you put them in egg cartons or sorry, muffin cartons and you put them in the oven and you can put like different stuff in them, which is kind of cool. Like you can throw spinach in them, all these different vegetables, but we wouldn't do that. We would just eggs, straight up eggs. A lot of people left need eggs. So throw that in the oven, let it bake. So you can pick as many of these little like egg cups as you want. So if you're eating like 4 eggs a day, you get 2 egg cups or something like that. So then you order all this stuff for the week and it's prepped and you come pick it up and you take it home. So my thought is if that's the case, and let's just say like chicken, for example, you're paying $1 a pound, I feel like you could charge $3 a pound. And these people are ordering a lot of this stuff. So like you're making probably like 40 to $50. Anywhere from like 20. I don't know. I'd want to make like $25. That's actually too much. That's too much. I'd want to make like $100 a month from someone if I was doing that stuff. And you have to cover your kitchen costs, you have to cover your employee costs, all that stuff. So like that stuff adds up, right? But I feel like if you don't have to do all the stuff of like mixing all the food and putting together meals, and someone that wants to be health conscious of like counting their macros and maybe their micronutrients, I feel like this is a really scalable way to do this because you're giving them the chicken, you're giving them the protein, you're giving them the carbs, you're giving them the fat, and then they choose whatever they want to do with it. They choose their sauces. They can mix it all up and throw it in their fridge. So there's like that extra layer of step that you don't have to do. You don't have to actually make meals. So I figured that's a really good way to do this much more affordably. So the person's can spend $600 a month on food, or maybe a little bit more, instead of spending like thousands of dollars that they'd have to spend paying like $10 fucking a meal for like 400 calories. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to do something like that. The question would be, what is that what do people that like eat a lot of food, that meal prep, like go to the gym, do all this stuff, like do they have budget to do that? Do they rather just do it themselves? I don't know. How much would it cost to acquire these types of people? I have no idea. Maybe it's not a good idea versus just like making a prep company and just like focusing on like certain diets and charging them an astronomical rate. I don't know. But those are all my ideas for today. Let's see. Sorry to IG, because we lost the IG fam. If you guys do have additional questions, feel free, or ideas you want to share in private, feel free to hit me up on Instagram at Mike Black. And that will wrap up this week's live stream. I gave you guys the house today. We went over some pretty cool ideas here. I'm excited to like start doing this with Sam, so we can kind of bounce back and forth with more on like the technical stuff of like how we're going to go build this. Should be pretty fun. But that's it. That is it for this week's live stream. Again, thank you all for joining. Hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Again, if you want to follow-up questions, hit me up on IG at Mike Black, and I will see you in next week's live stream. Peace, guys.